Hello everyone, this is Dr. Anita Raj, Assistant Professor of English, PV Vanya Perumal College for Women. So in this module, I'm going to cover the art of storytelling with gestures. Storytelling is an ancient and valuable art that extends around the globe. So in this module, you will learn how to develop their own storytelling talents and apply the techniques of storytelling, create storytelling guides, and perform a story for an audience. Storytelling is perhaps the most powerful way that human beings organize experience. The story and the telling of story convey important information about relationships and feelings in our family. By the time most children are 3 or 4, they can tell many kinds of stories. So there are many forms of stories, even autobiography, fiction, reports they have overheard, and they can even tell stories with other people and to other people. So by the time most children or adolescents, stories, whether formal, conversational, and unspoken, pervade daily life. Now let me explain you the elements of storytelling. So the elements of storytelling are implicit in the play scenario of the toddlers. A 20-month-old girl, Sarah, holds a small figure of a horse in her hand. She moves the horse as if he is running and then drops him. Oh no, poor horsey. That horsey is sick. But here comes his mommy. His mommy gave him medicine and made him better. While this may not be Oliver Twist, it is a story. Sarah is describing a sequence of actions. The actions have an underlying theme that is meaningful. There are characters in her story, there is emotion, and there is an ending. Reminiscers and practical memories. In our study, Learning to Reminiscence, we found that some mothers talk a great deal about the past with their toddlers. They tell fairly well embellished stories about the past that include many details. Parent and child take many conversational turns in describing a shared experience. Perhaps the most interesting, these mother or child couples seem to talk about the past for no other reason than because it is an enjoyable, interesting thing to do together. So how did they promote this art in their early years? One might ask, what can we do to promote storytelling during the early years? There are 3 kinds of experiences that promote storytelling ability during the first 3 years. Having conversations, plenty of them and long ones with adults, talking about the past and the future, even before the child can do this or his or her own, hearing and participating in stories of all kinds. Now let me describe you the evolution of storytelling. It is in our nature to tell stories and inform others of our life events. Storytelling, whether factual or fictional, is an intrinsic characteristic. However, the way we communicate with others has changed drastically over time. Storytelling originated with visual stories such as cave drawings and then shifted to oral traditions, in which stories were passed down from generation to generation by word of mouth. Then soon there was a shift towards formed into narratives, including written, printed, and typed stories. Due to the use of advancing technologies such as printing press, the camera, and the internet, social media platforms, the way we tell stories, keep ourselves informed about the current topics, has shifted to more all-encompassing experience. Now let me explain how this art of storytelling evolved. It is in our nature to tell stories and inform others of our life events. Storytelling, whether factual or fictional, is an intrinsic characteristic. However, the way we communicate with others has changed drastically over time. Storytelling originated with visual stories, such as cave drawings, and then shifted to oral traditions, in which stories were passed down from generation to generation by word of mouth. There was then a shift to words formed into narratives, including written, printed, and typed stories. Due to the use of advancing technologies such as printing press, the camera, and the internet, its social media platform, the way we tell stories, keep ourselves informed about current topics, has shifted to a more all encompassing experience. Storytelling through oral tradition dates back to different points in history depending on the culture. These traditions use song, chant, and epic poetry to tell stories that had been handed down from generation to generation and eventually written and published. Myths were also first passed on through word of mouth. For example, oral myths in United States are most common among Native American culture. So what is storytelling? It's an ancient art form and a valuable form of human expression. So as this is an art form, the word has got a lot of meaning. So it is our hope to call attention to the storytelling as an art worth promoting. Storytelling is an interactive art by using words, action to reveal the elements and images of story while encouraging the listener's imagination. So what are the various components which involve storytelling? So first, to begin a story, you need a content. You need to be creative. You need to add emotion. You must have the skill of communication. You must have a skill of sharing your experience. So all these comprise or helps you to promote the art. And now the most important question arises, why do you want to learn it? See, actually our life is full of stories. When you share them with others, they listen and remember. Learn how to connect personal experiences with the vision of impacting others. When you know the magic formula for telling a story, you will find it's much easier for people to see things from your perspective. And now the next question arises, will this art really help you? Everyone wants to build influence. But the secret is in how you craft your message to others, how you communicate to others, how you tell things to others. So telling a story engages people emotionally, making them more receptive, open to the storyteller. Uses of storytelling. Definitely, this art uses a lot of benefits. It brings language learning alive and creates a participatory and immersive experience that allows young learners to enjoy hearing the language in a dynamic, sometimes stylistic and entertaining way. Storytelling Also helps students to enjoy and be aware of intonations and tone of voice, natural sounding, expressions, phrases, as well as interaction between the native speakers. Now, let me cover the second part of my title, telling stories with gestures. Now, what do you mean by gestures? So, it refers to the motion of hands, body to emphasis an idea or emotion, especially while speaking, something said or done as a formality or indication of political gesture. It is an expressive movement of body or something that is said or done to show a feeling. Example, just you're waving a hand. And now let us discuss about the role of gestures in storytelling. Gestures were used to communicate directions to the actors in the story. They help the listeners understand and remember the story. Gestures during storytelling help in developing of brain in young children. Thus, best gestures help children to retain information, that just to recall. They can never forget the stories told with the beautiful. That is why young children are taught with gestures. Even their rhymes, even they are taught using a lot of gestures, the hand movements, the body movements. So that is why young children are taught from the beginning through stories. Stories offer a link between classroom and home. Students may have uh, a lot of stories to share in their classroom or at home, their own experiences. So nowadays, students are provided with talking books, YouTube videos, animations, or films where they enjoy the session. So therefore, stories offer everyone a chance to enjoy language and discover new words, new things about themselves. Now I'm going to present you a sample narration of a small moral story. The story of love and ego. Once upon a time, there was an island where all feelings lived together. One day, there was a storm in the sea and the island was about to get drowned. Every feeling was scared, but love made a boat to escape. Every feeling boarded the boat, one feeling was left. Love got down to see who it was. It was ego. Love tried and tried, but ego wasn't moving. Meanwhile, the water was rising too. Everyone asked love to leave him and come in the boat. But love was made to love. In the end, all feelings escape and love dies with ego on the island. So, my dear friends, never forget this moral. Love dies because of ego. So, finally, I sum up that stories enable children to empathize with unfamiliar people, place, and situation. They offer insight into different traditions and values. They give insight to universal life experiences. This art helps children consider new ideas. It reveals differences and commonalities of culture around the world. It promotes a feeling of well-being, fun, and relaxation. It increases children's willingness to communicate thoughts and feelings. It also encourages active participation in whatever program they are. Our verbal fluencies increases their fluency and encourages them to use imagination and creativity. This art also encourages cooperation between students. Thank you. Storytelling enables children to empathize with unfamiliar people, places, or situations. It offers insights into different traditions, and values, and also insights into universal life experiences. Storytelling helps children to consider new ideas. It reveals differences and commonalities of culture around the world. It also promotes a feeling of well being, fun, and relaxation. It increases children's willingness to communicate thoughts and feelings. It encourages active participation and increases verbal proficiency. Encourages children to use their imagination and creativity. It also promotes cooperation between students. So finally, I conclude that this art is the most powerful. The person with this art is the most powerful person in this world. It is because, as Robert McKee said, the storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world. But I'd say that storytelling has always been the best tool to communicate ideas, persuade others, and get what you want. Thank you.